Hi everybody! Welcome back to Anahita TV. For the first time after many months, I have an interviewee. My beautiful friend Nai is here. She's gonna tell us about her gorgeous new book, poetry book that she wrote and curated and did everything. So for all you writers out there, if you have comments, questions, leave them below and I'm sure she'll get to them and respond to your questions, suggestions, or whatever you have. So I'm gonna hand over the baton and tell us about your beautiful name first, and then we'll get into the questions about your book. Congrats, first of all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So my name is Nai Ya Maji. I am a conscious artist and writer based in LA. So Nai is short for my real name, which is Janae, and the Ya Maji means of water, and it's Swahili. And of water just is symbolic of who I am as a person, the fluidity of my being, just how I present myself. I think water is that natural element that kind of really represents who I am.
So Ya Maji, you know, Mahi means fish in Farsi.
Really?
Yeah, and my name Anahita, you know what that means? We're related because Anahita is the goddess of rain and water. So you are of water. There we go.
That.
We're connected already.
I told you when I met you, I was like, this feels so aligned.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Yeah. So tell us what made you write your book, because I know it was during the pandemic, and I mean, you were an artist before that, obviously.
So the poems actually are a collection of poems from my adolescent years up until now. But what really compelled me to publish the poems and the writings is I went on a 21-month social hiatus. This was a little bit before the pandemic, and it just really kind of sparked my spiritual journey. And you know, God was really telling me that I needed to share my story and how others, you know, would relate to it. I went through a very kind of toxic relationship.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah,
everyone's been there. Yeah, wow.
Narcissism.
Yeah.
So healing from that really kind of sparked me wanting to put my work out. There's a lot of healing and self-expression, and poetry is how I express myself. So there's a lot of healing in this book, and that's what I want it to be for other people as well, like a form of healing and relating to it, because it gets deep.
It gets deep. That's good. I saw how you sectioned it off. What are the sections representing to you?
So the first collection is called Articulated Depression, and the second one is called Wings of Wisdom. So
Wings of Wisdom?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Articulated Depression kind of gets into the depression, the depth of the depression, and it goes through the emotions like sorrow, rage, shame, hopelessness, sabotage.
Yeah, a lot of people, we've all been there, especially during the pandemic. I think we all saw our darkest sides. Yeah.
It really brought it out. It like kind of exasperated it in a sense. So the second collection is Wings of Wisdom, and that gets into more of the healing. And it highlights what I call the divine healers, and that's knowledge, love, truth, time, and forgiveness, and freedom.
Oh wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, so those are the kind of, because I see healing as like a conscious thing, and a lot of my work, even around my book, is about conscious healing. And I think, you know, healing is something that we have to avidly do and like, put our mind to, and you know, it's an everyday practice, and something we have to choose every day. So
that's great. Yeah, I've had a touch with health issues, and that's how I started learning how to be a healer. But throughout my adolescence, that's when I started writing poetry as well. Went into the art of writing, and I was never taught how to write poetry. But in my culture, it's a very predominant thing. Like in school, did you know 40% of all the poetry in the world comes from Iran, from a little tiny country? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
we're very poetic, that culture.
Right.
And yeah, you know, Rumi's from Persia. He's Rumi.
Oh, Rumi. Oh,
the Sufi.
Yes.
Sufi poet.
Yes.
Rumi.
I thought you said Rupi.
Oh, Rupi Kaur.
Rupi Kaur,
yeah, she's amazing. She's I think Indian Canadian.
Okay.
She's from Canada. She's here this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, she's supposed to be here on the 5th and the 6th in Los Angeles. Anyway, we're getting off topic. But it's a good fun fact to know if you want to go check her out. Yeah, Rupi is wonderful. I think she's one of the newest poets that has made poetry more popular again, and a lot of people are getting back into writing poetry. So tell us a little bit about your process, because we talked about how tough it was and how nobody cared but you, and you had to do it all yourself, and you self-published. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the visual artistry of Seen I Heard is actually just the precursor of the actual poetry book. So there's a more extensive book, like with more poems, because this has photos and poems in it. And so the actual poetry book, that's what, kind of sparked that interest first. And then I was like, I want to use visual art to kind of tell that story too, to kind of coincide with the literary art. So it's really like literary art meeting visual art to tell that same story. And I feel like it'll be more or easier to digest and easier to relate to with the photos. Yeah, it'll really because you can see it, you know what I mean? Like, we're visual beings, and like just seeing that emotion will trigger something in you. Well, hopefully not trigger anything, but like it'll in
a positive way. Trigger can be positive.
Yeah. I like that. I like that perspective.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah, so. It's a healing. That's good trigger healing.
It is. It really is. Yeah. And so, just going through that process of it going from just a poetry book to a photo poetry book, it was definitely a process. This was actually supposed to just be, the photos were supposed to be used for just poetry cards to kind of market the poetry book. And then the photographer who took the photos, shout out to Aaron Lacey, he is the photographer.
Nice.
He captured the emotion so well, and I was like, this is something that has to be like kind of used for more than just poetry, like 5x7 poetry cards,
right.
You know what I mean? And so I started designing the full spreads of the book, and as I started doing it, I was like, maybe I should get someone else to kind of, do the book design, because I don't have any experience doing book design or doing any type of layouts or anything. But no one would work with me. Like, I was having such a hard time, like connecting with people. And I know, other artists can probably relate to that. It's hard for people to actually believe in you when you're first starting.
Right. I feel like you have to do it all when you just start. Yeah, unfortunately, and it takes longer.
Yeah. But it kind of like revealed to me my artistry in a sense. It kind of like sparked that love for visual art, and like now, I designed the entire book, like all the design elements, the front cover, the back cover, the interior design.
That's great.
And like now
that's not easy.
It's not, and it took time. Patience was something I had to learn.
So show us some of these pages.
Yay. So as you can see, the outside is like this pearly blue color, and then the inside are black pages.
Black and blue.
Black and blue, yeah.
Nice, gorgeous.
And there is definitely meaning in that. It's kind of symbolic of, kind of how we present ourselves in life. We, put on this vibrant exterior, but on the inside, it's a lot of darkness. It's a lot of pain.
Yeah, people don't know what's going on. Going on. Inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really wanted to, tell that story with the visuals and with the design, and so it's my little baby.
That's great. I'm so excited for you. That's so like your work into reality, physical reality, which is tough, and I'm happy for you that you did it finally. Good for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you want to read something from the book for us?
So let's see.
Love. I see love.
I'll read this. It says, I trust my spirit more than any person, ideology, or religion. It leads with love and protects with truth.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So and that's part of the Wings of Wisdom collection, and it really gets deep. Like, I feel like, in understanding the divine healers and what we can use to kind of heal ourselves every day, goes a long way. And part of what my book does, it kind of tells that story between ego and spirit, that intertwined relationship between ego and spirit, the intertwined relationship between depression and healing. And one of the quotes on the back of my book says, God will not bring us pain and sorrow without bringing opportunities for healing and empowerment.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I always say that to people or my daughter when she goes through something, or myself even, something that's painful and I don't understand, what I say, it sounds like that. I say that God doesn't give you problems if He thinks you're not going to be able to come through.
Right.
Yeah, because the problems that come through for you, because He knows you are capable of succumbing. Is that this is like overcoming the issue. So I believe in that 100%. I've experienced it.
Yeah. So. And the thing is that He's always going to present those opportunities for us. Right. It's just whether or not we are open to receiving it.
Yeah.
God is always going to present us with the opportunity, and that's why we have to, healing is a conscious thing. You have to be aware, and
you have to make a decision to do it.
Yes.
To be healed, and then the answers will show up. But if you're in a dark space and you think this is the end, then it will be the end.
Right. You're kind of closed off from
spirit.
Exactly, from spirit, from God. And I love that. And that just goes to show, in my book and in my writings, I want to be able to articulate the things that other people are also thinking and feeling, and kind of reassure that there is meaning behind it, there is intention behind it, and just how other people's work inspires me and reassures me of certain things. I want this book to do this,
to inspire others. That's wonderful. There's a poet in Iran. His name is Hafiz, and there is he has written so many books, so his books are just thick. And there's a thing called that we do when we sit around, drink tea. We do what's that? Horoscope, kind of like reading a horoscope, reading your cards or whatever. So what we'll do is take the card and I'll ask you, make a wish, and I'll find the answer. So let's do that with your book.
Oh, geez.
Like then I randomly stop, and then that would be the answer. Or you make a prayer or ask for something, and we'll find out if it's a yes or a no.
Okay.
All right. You don't have to say it out loud. Keep it in, and then we'll talk about it after. When you're ready, let me. Ready? All right. Oh, Wings of Wisdom came up. The first page. So it says, as His hand thrusted forward to besiege me, God saved me. Knowledge, love, truth, time, forgiveness. The divine healers He gave me. So did it answer your prayer?
I asked, or the thought that came to my mind was, what's next for my healing? And I think,
Wings of Wisdom came up.
It's that healing element.
Knowledge, love, time, forgiveness, freedom. So you answered your own question.
I love that. And it's kind of leaving that space for God to kind of facilitate.
To trust, to have faith.
I love that.
I feel like a lot of times people are just forcing things through, and especially through the situation we had of not doing anything for 2 years. We realized that there is hope, and we need to trust, and I think we learn to be more faithful and trustful.
I completely agree, because it was so much uncertainty. It was
and it still is. I feel like it's such an uncertain time.
It really is. With jobs, with relationships, with living, circumstances, so much uncertainty. And like you said, it really does kind of put you in, either you're going to trust God and trust that everything's going to be okay, trust that everything is
trust the process.
Trust the process, not just, and it's hard to just be okay, I don't care. It's a difference between trusting and just saying, oh, I don't care. You know what I mean? Trusting is you're actually surrendering that worry and that anxiety to God, and it's I trust you. I care enough about it that I trust you with that I trust a higher power with that than just our human
Yeah, we're not
mind.
exactly.
Yeah.
But we are, we're capable. I feel like what Jesus said. You are designed in the image of God. So we are capable, but then we also have to have faith.
It's like
Right.
faith and work.
Yeah,
Faith
exactly.
and work,
It's a little bit of both.
It
Yeah.
literally cannot go without the other. Like,
Yeah,
it's like-
exactly.
I love that about life, the duality of life. Like one has to go with the other. You know
That's
what I
so
mean?
true.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about, we both talked about how we were both empaths.
Yes.
And then, so I wanted to talk about that. And one of the things we talked about is that there's really no school
Yeah.
for how to be an empath. And then we end up, unfortunately, in relationships that are toxic. And then, so let's talk about that. And then
Yeah.
we came up with a couple of different things that we
Yeah.
talked about that was really
Yeah.
interesting that I want to share.
Yes. And how we attract narcissists.
We do.
I've,
Yeah.
read so many articles about how empaths attract narcissists. It's just
Yeah.
kind of like the energy of a healer and the energy of one who needs healing is
Yeah.
attracted to each other. And it's like,
So true.
when you don't know you're an empath, it's kind of it's draining.
It is, isn't it?
Draining
Yeah.
When you're with someone who's a narcissist,
One of the things I learned, and I actually started writing about it, hopefully I can publish that, about how to be an empath. Like the information just came to me. It was such divine, it was divine help. I know it because I was thinking, kind of like a psychologist or a therapist cannot date the person they're seeing as a patient. And I studied psychology, so there's a word for it. I forget. It's called like projection or something. That you and I think the same thing is about empath and narcissist. And I see an empath as a sponge or a filter or an air filter that takes off the dirt and recycles it. And that's why we need more downtime.
Yes.
A lot of times, like my mom is older than me and she'll say like, oh, you have no energy. But it's not that I don't have energy.
Right.
It's that my body processes interaction with people differently. I have a lot of energy. I could just, work from 5 a.m. till midnight.
Right.
But if I'm by myself, but if I'm with other people, especially people with issues, energetically, I observe a lot of their toxic feelings and they feel better. So people say, oh, I love being around you. But it's like, oh my God, I don't love being around you.
It's like
thinking,
an energy transfer.
Right. And I think what we do is recycle their whatever they're hoarding inside them. And it took a while with many horrible relationships. And I'm like, for a while I blamed God and I said, you must hate me.
Yeah.
But no, He loves me
Yeah.
because He gave me this gift.
Right.
I just need to learn how to use it. And then what my duty is to also help others.
Yes.
Others
Yeah.
because I get this information.
Right.
I'm supposed to help others
Right.
figure it out as well because I figured it out. So I feel like if you're an empath out there, please listen. Do not date a narcissist. When you get the flags, so we need to write about that.
Yes.
What are the signs?
Yes.
What are the signs? If you're with that person, and they say all sorts of beautiful things to you. That's what narcissists do. They say, oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're so amazing. Charming. This is a divine meeting,
Right.
things you want to hear, basically. And then once you meet and you hang out, when you're with them, you feel amazing, but when they leave, you feel drained. The reason is the energy transfer. And so right now there's a lot of coaches, and that's why there are so many coaches now. The coaches actually help. If they're an empath and a coach, I feel like, there should be a financial exchange, unless it's your family or your friend or a loved one you want to help.
Yeah.
But if you make it a business sort of situation where you turn off, your clock at 6 p.m. and you get to relax and rest, So what are your thoughts on what was your experience with
Oh my gosh, it was
that you learned from and you can share?
So so the entire book was based on.
Doesn't it say Conversations with an Empath? Yeah, that was the name of your book.
But the relationship, the toxic relationship, is what prompted me to write the book. Like, I already had poems and stuff from my childhood, but what prompted me to, publish it, I was out here dealing with that guy, narcissist, and I went through so much, and like, poetry was just how I, kind of express myself, and so it was such a triggering experience because I had never dealt with anyone, that abusive.
Wow, so sorry.
Emotionally, verbally, and then it got physical. You know what I mean? And then,
oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
And it was very triggering to me. Like, that's the main word I can kind of come to. And so I realized that how he was manipulating me, kind of that need for control over me was very. He knew I had a lot of compassion. He knew that I cared about him and just people in general. Right. That it was like he manipulated that, and it was very distressing to me. And then I started I was already kind of into psychology. I never studied psychology like as a profession or anything, but I started looking into it. Like, I've always been interested in the human mind, and so I came across what a narcissist was, and I'm like, oh my gosh, literally, like checking. I'm like,
definition.
He does this.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, he does this, and so it was insane. But I already kind of knew I was an empath, and so once I started looking into what a narcissist was, I was like, oh my gosh. That relationship between an empath and a narcissist is so real, and it just kind of really, and knowing who I was and knowing who he was, I was able to detach from it. It was honestly that information, that knowledge that really allowed me to detach from it. I'm like, this isn't healthy. It's not going anywhere because, narcissists can be very manipulative, and they can make they can do a lot of gaslighting. We talked about that.
Oh my God,
a lot of gaslighting. Yeah. And to make you feel like
you're going crazy.
Yeah, like you're delusional. And I'm like, that's how they whirl you around in a wind. But knowing that knowledge, I was able to kind of stop.
But it always escalates, like you said. I'm so glad you got out, because we were talking, was it yesterday? I was talking to a friend of mine about a situation like that where someone was abusive, but it was in a marriage situation. A couple was married, and then I remember the lady was saying how she was, a friend of hers was talking to a lawyer and the cops, and the lawyer was trying to, there's a law actually, this is what I wanted to tell you, there is this really scary law that a lot of men who are abusive know of. So if you can prove your wife is crazy or husband's crazy, you could sign off and put them in the loony bin.
No.
I know, yeah, it's so scary. So I was telling my friend, and she was talking to an attorney. She said, if you get to that point where your husband is saying you're crazy and they want to put you in a loony bin, just hide. Get the hell out, leave everything, hide. Because she said a lot of the times after that report, the women end up dead. And they don't know who did it.
Oh my
And it's
God.
always after when the guy tries to prove that she's crazy so she could put her away so that he doesn't have to pay alimony or child support, all of that. Isn't that horrific?
That's sick.
That is, yeah.
That's insane.
I know 2 ladies who went through this. 2. And I had no idea because I'm a screenwriter.
Yes.
So one of the women came to me. Her story is so amazing. I wrote it, and I'm fixing it as a screenplay. So, so she wants me to write it, and I think she had a producer, a very famous producer, said if you could write it, I will make the movie. So I've been working with her. So yeah, it's a true story, but it's pretty scary. Yeah,
it's very scary. It just shows you how far it can escalate.
It can escalate, and like you said, it starts with just minor things, and then escalates to gaslighting and emotional abuse. Then it becomes physical. Then it keeps going, and it's unfortunate when you're in that situation. Please, if any of my viewers are in that situation, please get help. Call. There are a lot of places. We should find out the number and maybe leave it like an 800 number.
Yes, in the comments.
In the comments, because I feel like we really need to help empaths. You know, we are the reasons. The empaths. We are the reasons that society can move forward, because we're the healers. We're the people who raise children, the people who care about the nurturers.
Sharing empathy, empathy really. That's a main part of humanity, as a whole. Empathy carries humanity.
You know, narcissists do not have empathy. That's how they know. That's how you know someone is a narcissist. They do not have empathy.
They're so desensitized.
They are. And it's sad though. That's one of the other things we talk about. It's really sad because that person who's a narcissist wasn't born a narcissist. They were abused. They were taken advantage of. Something happened to them. And what happens, it's actually the ego. The ego shuts down and it goes into protection mode. And that's why it escalates. They're protecting, they create a persona. It's a false persona that keeps them safe. And when you try to get them out of that persona, they do everything and anything to protect that persona. That's why it ends up escalating. I'm not saying it's a good thing, because the other person, it's a progression. That's why they have that insanity law in court. People can claim insanity because that's how it works. People can go into themselves so far deep that they can't get out, and then to protect that persona, that the mask they created. And so all of it they do anything to protect it. And the solution to that is childhood trauma healing.
Oh my goodness. And they don't ever want to address how that kind of contributes to how they act right now. It's like there's a disconnect. They don't even see the correlation. You know what I mean?
They don't even want to go to therapy. The person that I was involved with didn't think they needed therapy. They're like, no, you need it. You're crazy.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay.
They're the ones that are kind of down talking therapy or like belittling therapy.
Because they're afraid. Again, afraid of losing that persona, because when they go, they have to break down, and it's a fear of the unknown, the fear of going back to that experience,
being vulnerable.
And that experience of trauma is what actually you need to allow it to pass through without any reaction. And when you live through it without reaction, then you can overcome it.
Because you use it as a crutch for a lot of the things. Well, I've been through so much. It's like a lot of comparing sufferance. That's what I dealt with a lot in my relationship with my narcissist. He always wanted to compare suffering. Like he just felt like, well, I've been through so much, and just belittling any and everything that I went through, because couldn't have possibly been as bad as what he went through, and you know what I mean. And it invalidated my experiences. It invalidated my emotions, and that's how you kind of you take that power away from someone by invalidating that. Like all we have are our experiences, with our perspective, our emotions, who we are. And so when you invalidate that, it's damaging. It's belittling. It like makes you feel small. And that's what ego does to other people. It just, and especially narcissists, it's like they want to make you feel small. It's that power dominance that I've learned, that they love that. They love having that power over your emotions. So once you kind of
because they don't have any emotions.
Exactly.
That's how they feel through you.
Through you. And they'll trigger it any moment they can. Like once a narcissist finds out what your vulnerability is, or what what really triggers you, or the things you love, they are going to trigger it at any time they can. Whenever they feel as though you're getting away, or you're establishing any type of power over yourself, they're going to trigger you because they want you to be small. They want to have that control. It's like ego loves a challenge. Like, oh, they have confidence in themselves. Well, let me see what I can do.
Match that.
How can I control that?
Let me rain on her parade.
It's like he loves it. It's like ego is so powerful. It's like. And it's an internal thing, and it's like I always use this saying of an inner dialogue, and ego loves to hold the mic.
Yeah.
Ego wants to be the one controlling everything in your life.
Yeah.
And it quiets spirit. But we have the ability to control who we give that mic to every morning. Like every
Right.
morning, I begin my day with prayer and devotion,
Oh.
and that's me giving the mic over to spirit.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's me surrendering ego, and I'll literally pray that. I'll literally say, you know, God, I surrender myself to you. I surrender ego to you, and that's me giving the mic over to spirit and over to God. And it's like it has to be something that you like consciously do, because ego is so powerful. It's like the power of the mind is crazy. And like narcissist, it's a psychological, isn't it like a psychological disorder or
Yeah,
something?
I love how you explain that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's the ego, and you know, a thought just came over me. I feel like, why?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the life is kind of short, but then also it could be long if
Yeah.
you are living through those motions of pain and hatred and gaslighting and all of that, and there's no necessity for it anymore. I think it would start with us, you know. That's what the yogis usually say. It starts with you, work on you.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. Instead of preaching to everybody else, I'm like, I'm going to start with me.
Right.
Heal myself, help myself, do whatever I need to do to help myself grow as a person. And what happens, the reverberations of that kind of stagger out like wings and kind of heal everyone
Naturally.
around you. And then this is how the darkness can leave, because with more light, the darkness has no choice but to leave. You know, just start the light from your heart. And expand it out, you know.
I love that, because you know, a lot of people, you know, think that, you know, they have to heal someone else, or like, you know, tend to, but it really does start from within. And it's like once you kind of have that discipline, like, okay, I don't need to try to heal everyone else all the time. Like it really starts with yourself, and once you can heal yourself, it like you said, it just kind of fluctuates out.
And it's also layers. Even with myself, I've started doing a lot of healing and self-therapy and all. I feel like, okay, I healed this part. Oh my God, something else pops up.
It never ends, really. It's like,
and then I heal the second thing, and a third thing pops up, and it's like, wow, you know, we are a never-ending story. Because do you believe in past lives?
What do you mean, like
I feel like, for me, like certain things I've healed, but certain things I don't know the root of.
Oh, yes.
So I feel like they were issues from a past life that I carried on. Because some things are just so odd that, you know, like.
And things are like.
It didn't happen in my childhood, I'm sure of it.
You know? Like generational trauma.
Generational,
like,
exactly.
Things are just kind of passed down
on from your great grandparents. And
Exactly. And it's like, it's nothing that we actually did or like triggered ourselves. It's just kind of embedded.
Or anyone did to us.
Right.
It's from, and then, so that's why generations, kind of like the butterfly effect, you know?
Oh, that's
I feel like,
comparison,
I feel like, you know, the butterfly, they say if it flaps its wings here today, in 10 years, and like, I don't know, in Japan, by the time the vibration reaches Japan, it's kind of like a tsunami or something. You know,
that's so true. It's so true. And it's like, I really feel like healing is a never-ending journey. It is something that, because I believe new experience triggered new things. You know what I mean? We're never going to handle every situation perfectly, or know how to deal with every situation. And so it's like, we may make faults and deal with somebody, get involved with somebody or something that we, you know, didn't know how to deal with. And so it's like, and you know, and healing from those decisions, or forgiving yourself from those decisions. I think, you know, forgiveness goes a lot into healing, and not just, you know, we talked about this, not even just like forgiving others, but forgiving self.
That's so difficult. Because I think it's easier to forgive others. For me, it's been that way. I've been able to forgive others, but when I'm so hard on myself, when it comes to self, you know, the mistakes that we make. You know, one time I hurt a really, really good dear friend, And I realized it. I was very young. I was early 20s. And then when I realized, I was so ashamed, you know, and I called her and I apologized and I was crying.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, I said, the hardest part is forgiving myself. And she replied, she's like, I know how hard that can be. You know, and she could
like have a hard time with that. Like we're so self-critical.
Right.
We're
and then,
so self-critical.
Yeah, she forgave me, but I said, you know, the hardest part is me forgiving me because you've always been so wonderful to me, and I can't believe my flaw or my mistake.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So nobody's perfect.
No.
So on that note, let's close the beautiful meeting. So lovely to have you here, Nai, and I hope you join me again very soon. And where can people get your beautiful book?
So it's on my website, nailyaMaji.com. Maybe we can put it in like the captions.
Right, definitely we'll put it in the captions. Yes. Go out and get yourself a copy. You should have a book signing somewhere sometime soon.
David, the interior designer that we met, he wants me to have a book signing there, so I may have one there soon.
Yeah, you should definitely. That would be so wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I will advertise for you all over West Hollywood. Yeah.
It's like
Well, thank you so much for joining me and my beautiful guest, and I hope you get a chance to go out and buy Seen Not Heard Conversations with an Empath. And here's the book. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, definitely. I'm so glad we could make it. So if you haven't subscribed or liked, please go ahead and do so. We'd love to hear from you, and once you read her book, comment below, let us know what you thought, how it helped you in your healing journey. Adios. Bye-bye.